Welcome to this week's episode of Paranormal United States. This is episode 46, Virginia.
Yes, indeed. And it's going to be a slightly different take on what we normally talk about. We
Okay.
normally talk about insane asylums, prisons, um, all manner of what you would expect to be hauntings. But as you can see from the picture behind, it's quite a modern building.
Yeah, looks like a hospital or something, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the University of Virginia's School of Medicine.
Not far off.
Right? It's not haunted. It's not got Well, it probably has a diverse history, but not like you'd expect.
Okay.
So, I'm going to talk about the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia School of Medicine.
Cool.
So, might not make a great deal of sense there, but when you talk about universities or schools where you've got gifted people or scholars, you might think about um, Professor X and the school for gifted youngsters, Marvel's take on some of the stuff, and where teachers read minds and students can walk through walls and all fantastical. So we don't have that exactly here, but the Division of Perceptual Studies is decidedly less fantastic, but it is a fascinating place. It was founded in 1967 by Dr. Ian Stevenson, originally as the Division of Personality Studies, and its mission is scientific empirical investigation of phenomena that suggest that currently accepted scientific assumptions and theories about the nature of mind or consciousness and its relation to matter may be incomplete.
That sounds
So
like more up our street.
it does. So they look at um, the survival of personality after death. One of the bits that they've looked at and talked about is how someone's personality can transfer to another body as part of reincarnation.
Okay.
So, kind of a cool kind of place, and slightly different to the paranormal as such that we've been used to in our previous states, where we've talked about hauntings and ghosts and famous ghosts. So this is specifically a place where they study weird phenomena.
Awesome.
So they talk and study near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, claimed memories of past lives. So in 2014, there's a Center for Paranormal Research at a totally legitimate and respected American Institute of Higher Learning. That's pretty cool in itself. And it's something I come across and I was like, got to talk about that.
That's good. We need something like that
Yeah.
over here.
But unlike the X Mansion and the X Men and all the psych schools, PSI and Psy schools, I would call it a DOPS. It doesn't employ any practice in physics. The teachers can't read minds, and the students don't walk through walls. But it is home to a group of hardworking, credentialed scientists with minds for stats and figures, and it's their remit to try and pursue this weird phenomena that people experience.
That's cool.
Yeah. So Jim Tucker, Dr. Jim Tucker, in actual fact, he's associate professor of psychiatry and neurobehavioral sciences. He's one of the scientists. He's got a bachelor's degree from the University of North Carolina, an MD from the University of North Carolina School of Medicine. He arrived in Charlottesville to complete his postgraduate training at the University of Virginia Health Services Center in 1986, and after running a private psychiatric. And after a few years of running a psychiatric practice, he returned to the university to work under Dr. Stevenson and carry out research on the possibility of life after death. Which is, again, it's with the whole UFO thing now and scientists and mainstream people that a few years ago would have said there's no such thing. Now we can, we've got some people talking about life after death. Dr. Tucker, who's a certified child psychiatrist, primarily works with children who've reported memories that are not their own. So, you get some kind of kids every now and again, they go, I remember when I died in 1742 at the Battle of wherever. And people go, what? And they can remember everything. So this Dr. Tucker starts to study those kids. And to Tucker, these findings suggest the plausibility of survival of personality after death. Something like a law of conservation of energy applied to human consciousness. Reincarnation to the layperson. So the main effort is to document as carefully as possible what the child says and determine how well that matches with that of a deceased person, which is fair enough. They get as much detail as possible. He claims to be whoever, Elvis Presley, or some doctor from 400 years ago, as some of these kids do. And they remember being like in the Second World War, some of the kids and stuff like that. It's very bizarre.
Pilots and stuff.
Yeah, pilots. Exactly that. He said in the strongest cases, the similarities can be quite compelling. The cases Tucker refers to are indeed quite compelling. In an interview earlier this month, he talked about James Leininger, a Louisiana boy who reported memories of flying a fighter jet in World War II. Bang on, Ash. How did you know?
I don't know. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of pilots get reincarnated.
Around the age of 2, James experienced terrible nightmares, almost nightly, of violent plane crashes. During the day, he relayed extremely vivid memories of his supposed Air Force career. He recalled the name of a real aircraft carrier stationed in the Pacific during World War II, the Natoma. He claimed to have a friend on the boat named Jack Larson. He had a memory of being shot down by the Japanese and dying near Iwo Jima. So the USS Natoma Bay lost one pilot at Iwo Jima, a man named James Houston, and he died in a crash that matched the boy's description almost exactly. Hitting the engine, exploded into fire, crashing into the water and quickly sinking, the doctor said. And when that happened, the pilot of the plane next to his was Jack Larson. So how could a child know that? It said that the story is so obscure because it took the little boy's father 3 to 4 years to track down his information, and that James Houston was killed more than 50 years before the little boy's birth and came from Pennsylvania, which is more than 1,000 miles away. So there's no way at the age of 2 that he could have reported weird shit like that happening.
That's a bit mad.
Unless it's not stuff you learn on TV. As a 2-year-old, you don't learn about World War II plane crashes and specific names. So, yeah.
Interesting.
It seems almost impossible that he could have somehow gained this information as a 2-year-old. True. The DOPS and the affiliated doctors and scientists reviewed and analysed thousands of cases like the boys. And before his retirement in 2002 and his death in 2007, Dr. Ian Stevenson logged more than 2,500 cases, publishing his analysis in a number of scholarly texts from 1969 onwards. Today, DOPS inputs findings and patient profiles in an electronic database from which they can analyse and discern patterns that might explain why certain individuals are susceptible to believe that they possess memories from past lives. Dr. Tucker and his colleagues also believe that such information could explain a number of psychiatric conditions as well, among them phobias or certain personality traits that cannot otherwise be attributed to environment or hereditary. Which kind of makes sense. I'm petrified of heights. I have no idea why I'm scared of heights. I literally shake if I go up a ladder. Maybe it's because something happened to me in a previous life. And I've actually had discussions like that with people before, and they go, maybe something happened to you in a previous life. Well, actually,
Yeah,
Kind of makes sense.
like mine's been underwater. Like I can't
Oh,
look
fucking hell.
when it's underwater. Like anything's on TV, like when the camera goes like under the water level, I
Oh,
literally makes me
wow.
feel like
Oh,
I can't watch it. So I can't even
wow.
think about it. Like when you go to the aquarium, I can't walk under the tunnel.
Oh, really?
It's been
Oh,
under.
geez.
Oh
Yeah.
God! Oh my God! It makes me feel
Maybe.
so weird.
Wow.
Just saying it. I can't see anything. I'm just
So,
saying it. It's so
you
horrible.
know, when they show people that go up those tall masts and change light bulbs and shit like
Mm,
that, and people hanging off of buildings doing um, all these antics with Instagram and take the photos. As soon as that happens, my palms start getting sweaty and my feet get sweaty. It's like I can't even watch it. It's
mm,
scary. Um, so Stevenson and his contemporaries have their legitimate allies as well. A guy called Max Planck, father of quantum physics, saw merit in the possibility of a physical realm derived from a non-physical consciousness. And in his book, The Demon Haunted World, astrophysicist Carl Sagan, very famous guy, and
mm,
an advocate of scientific skepticism, said that the phenomena of child reporting details of a previous life, which upon checking out turned to be accurate and which they could not have known about in any other way than reincarnation, is an area of parapsychology research deserving of a serious study. The wish not to believe can influence as strongly as the wish to believe. So
mm,
it's it's mad. Um, they genuinely believe that there's reincarnation. They study these children and their stories, and as I say, there's 2,500 cases that they've looked at. And you do, like we just said, you hear about the downed World War II pilots and stuff
mm.
like that.
Yeah,
And
that's a
is it?
lot as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a lot. And those kids, they're kind of still innocent in the sort of the world. Kids don't tend to lie; they just say stuff. And a 2-year-old wouldn't wouldn't necessarily lie about being a World War
Mm,
II pilot. In Do you know what I mean? So very interesting. And
mm.
a slightly different take on our paranormal United States is,
Yeah, it's cool that they actually a place. That's be a cool job.
yeah.
The dream job in it, really.
Well, we've talked about EVPs recently, and we've also had Dr. Ann Winsper, who's done the EVPs as a doctorate thesis. So there's definitely merit in some of
Yeah,
these studies. So,
definitely.
and on that note, that was Paranormal United States, Virginia.